noticed.
It's, we should know already. We only have technical difficulties. That has been my whole January, is technical difficulties.
Seemingly, right?
Yeah. Like unbelievable
It's not
list.
technical difficulties, it's growing pains.
I like your attitude there.
All right. We're live on your channel. It looks
All right. Good. Yeah. It's working.
That's good enough.
Wild.
Yo.
Cool. And is great. This is wild. It's working. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you all in the stream already.
Bunn's
I'm
a little
Bunn.
Bunn's
Bunn's
a little robotic today, everybody.
Oh, I got 1 bar.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. 'Cause the internet.
It's so frustrating. I don't even know if I should talk.
We'll be fine. Are you your video settings, are you sending 720 or 1080?
I am sending probably 720 because
Okay.
I think the camera defaults to that.
I mean, like in here in Restream.
Can I see it?
I think
Whoa.
Don't mess with it.
Okay. 720, 30.
All right, cool. We're good. That's what I.
Okay. Man, if it's not one thing, it's another. Anyhow.
We'll get through it together.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Dylan is here to ruin everything. It's a good thing.
Too late. We're already doing that ourselves.
Can I be heard? I guess I can be heard.
Yes.
Anyhow.
No, you're good.
Okay, good. So welcome everyone to the stream. This is Bandless. This is a weekly live podcast for solo music creatives. And what is the show about? If this is your first time here, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, Nick Hill and I, we dig into the challenges that solo music creators face. And it could be, tools, it could be tactics, it could be sort of philosophy and whatnot. And we just kind of dig into those things and attempt to illuminate the way forward, our own experiences, things we've heard about, your experiences, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick, what are we talking about today?
So today, how much time and resources are we spending shortcutting or taking shortcuts that can actually be spent on time doing something tangible or real? And we'll dive into this and you guys will get a better idea of what we're talking about. But I think many of us are guilty of this.
Yeah. And I guess we should clarify right off the top, not to be confused with efficiency and organization.
Right.
Those things are not a hack or a shortcut. So I always like to refer to Tim Ferriss as an example. Tim Ferriss is specializes in efficiency and quick learning and all that kind of stuff, but always for the purpose of kind of a quicker launch into a long game.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're talking about today. Cutting out the things that you're spending a bunch of time on to try and do things quicker or get a result way faster. Nick, you are actually talking about that earlier.
Yeah. The perfect example yesterday, kind of gathering up all my finances from, YouTube and music sales and everything from last year. And I was trying to find an app that would go through my accounts and aggregate everything that I potentially would have spent on YouTube or music stuff so I could claim it against my new income. So I spent literally 2 hours trying to find the perfect app that did exactly what I wanted. And what I ended up doing after 2 hours is taking an hour and just going through my bank account myself and going through my Amazon and Best Buy receipts and just doing it myself.
Yeah.
So I tried to find a hack to skip the work part, you know, just to get closer to an end, like instead of just taking the time and doing what I had to do. And we were kind of talking about it, and it's like, oh, that kind of sums it up a little bit. That's one example. It's not necessarily music related, but
Well, it's totally music related. It's your music income.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah, I think it's an amazing one. You know, for myself, something that I always kind of try to keep in mind is back when I was playing shows, this is quite a few years ago already, but it always rings in my head. I got this idea that I would put show flyers in the weekly culture and music paper that was free. I think every city has one of those.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, we got the show coming up. I'm going to put flyers in all of those. So I printed a ton of flyers and I put them all in the live music listing section of all of the free boxes. And A, it was like pretty expensive. And B, it was a ton of work. I had no idea going into it what I had decided to do.
Right.
And A, it didn't work. Like, why would it work? People pick up the paper, they just see this piece of paper in it and they don't even know what it is. Like, why would they even pay attention to it?
Yeah.
And what's funny is we would have had way more success if we would have just spent, you know, a couple half days postering, actually going to shows and flyering.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do that. We spent so much time doing this now newspaper thing. And yeah, I thought it was going to be the ultimate hack, the ultimate sort of shortcut. I didn't think of it as a shortcut, but I thought it was going to be the magic, you know, the sauce. I'm going to hack this system. And it did nothing.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, being mindful of, are you looking at shortcuts are you?
They're traps almost, you know?
I think they're traps. We're gonna talk about that trap. So actually, let's launch into it with that one. And I'm gonna pose this to you first here, Nick. This is like a little bit of a three-parter. We can take it in different sections, but shortcuts, a lot of times they don't seem to last, and if they do last, sometimes they're a trap. And what I mean by that is, if you do it like this shortcut to get a short-term success, you know, a good example would be like the music gala. You're releasing a new record, you book this big show, you pay the press agent, you maybe pay a bunch of models to be at the show. I know people who've done this. And you kind of overinflate all the press and all this kind of stuff to have this big reveal. And so let's say a lot of times it doesn't work, right? But there is the off chance that sometimes it does work. A bunch of people show up and it's like, whoa. The problem with it is, how do you follow it up? So what do you follow it up with? And can you afford to consistently just keep doing that? Some people can. Most people can't. So usually it doesn't last that way for those reasons, and probably others. I'm sure we can all dream up things. And then the other side would be, you do the shortcut. Let's say you do a weird kind of funny video or whatever. You're like, oh, this is like going to go viral and it's going to get a ton of views. And let's say you do a music video like Rob Scallon or Stevie T are good examples of this. They kind of got popular for comedy and funny, entertaining videos, and their videos went huge. And they're musicians, you know, so it was related to what they were doing. But in the end, I'm not so sure about Rob Scallon, but I know for sure with Stevie T, he has not complained about it, but he's talked about it on podcasts and whatnot, where he's like, yeah, you know, I have these musical ambitions, but it's difficult to pursue them because I have to keep doing the comedy because the comedy gets the views, and that's what I'm known for, and that's what I've built my thing up as.
Yeah.
So that's an example of the trap. You know, the shortcut as a trap. You do the shortcut to like get this like success going, and then you get trapped in the shortcut and it
Right.
becomes your life and it's no longer a shortcut. So do you have anything on either of those sides that, you know, either you can relate to, that you know someone that this has happened to, or that it has happened to you in some way?
So personally, if we kind of look at, and I don't want this to come across in unfavorable way, but like the kind of diving into the Helix side of things, that was initially what kind of propelled my channel, and you know, it's sort of what people were expecting, and then I started doing more production videos and like, you know, other vlog stuffs here and there, and it's the Helix stuff that still always does the best, but it's not something I want the channel to be all like about all the time. So there's some degree of that there. Granted, it's much on a much smaller scale, but you know, I know of some people, and we kind of heard this over like this last year of like, you know, pay for plays or pay for streams or pay for views. You know, you can see on videos where people have paid for views because they have all these views, but they have like 4 likes and 2 comments, you know, and that's not, you know, they're trying to shortcut the game, but they're not creating real audience or real like fans, you know,
Yeah.
going that
Yeah.
way. And that will ultimately end up biting them in the ass, especially when it comes to streams, because we saw, you know, Spotify was cracking down on, you know, these pay for stream type of situations. And
Yeah.
then where do you get, you know, what are you left with? No music on Spotify. So
Yeah. There, I don't know. There are no shortcuts, and what the nightmare of getting trapped in the shortcut and it becoming your whole life.
right. I think, you know, you've shared that Stevie T with me before, where like I think about how he's such an amazing guitar player, you know, and
Yeah.
he does kind of, you can tell he feels obligated to do a certain type of video to appease
Yeah.
his audience now, and that's got to really kind of take a toll.
Yeah. Dylan. Yeah, you want to read that, or you want me to read it?
Go for it.
I'm going to read it. Good example of it is Mike, Become the Night. He is initially used reactions and critique to build an audience, and has slowly incorporated his music and generated interest for his band. So
yeah,
this is an interesting kind of perspective, because I think it's, you know, similar to what you were just talking about. Yes, using this thing to kind of like get the ball rolling, and it might feel like a shortcut in the beginning, and there is the risk of getting trapped. However, if you're mindful of it, you can kind of sort of finesse things to come together over time. And I think if you do it in a, you know, I don't know, in a positive way, in a building kind of way, it's usually not going to pee too many people off. Hopefully, if you're in it for other people, for the benefit of other people, usually you're all good there. So
yeah,
if you have other people's best interest, you're good.
Yeah, I don't know of Mike, but I would assume that based on his you know, reaction videos and stuff, people probably got to know him as a person. He was probably really genuine with who he was, and that allowed him to sort of trickle in more of his personal stuff, his music, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's a strategy to it.
Yeah,
but
and
the chance for the Stevie T effect is real, you know?
Yeah, it's very real. And I lost it.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. He says, I remember that shortcut pay for play. I tried it for a minute back when SoundCloud was new. Shortly after a week, the magical numbers disappeared. Yeah, there's this kind of thing with people paying for clicks and streams and all that kind of stuff. is that if you get caught, there's a lot to lose. So in this case, you lose all the, the illusion, you lose the smoke that you paid for. But even worse can happen, where you just lose everything, where you get banned from the platform and all that kind of stuff. So,
and I mean, if you think about it, if you're paying, we'll just use pay for streams as an example, like, and you see these fluffed numbers on your, Spotify for artists, that doesn't make you feel any better, because you know that like that's not real people listening to your stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to be there when the next thing comes out,
Yeah. I am not interested whatsoever in any kind of hack like that at all, ever. Even like paid promotion, like, I'm not opposed to paid promotion. Like, I'm not opposed to paying a PR agent if everything it makes sense.
Sure.
You're going on a tour and you got to get press out to all of the press places. Using a PR agent for that is very smart. It costs money, but it ensures that you open those gateways and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As well as maybe like Facebook ads or whatever. Like, if it balances out right, then it might be a good idea. But just using Facebook ads to drive traffic to just make shallow sales, and that's it. If it's not kind of surrounding something like a new release or a whatever, like a PR type of move, then I don't know. It just seems cheap and dumb.
Yeah. And again, I'm really ignorant when it comes to this kind of thing, because like I'm basically just at the beginning,
Right.
So it's just learning as you go, and I just think, like, if you just try and be mindful of the fact that shortcuts don't generally last, then I think you'll be okay. You got to just set a proper expectation for this stuff, and maybe it'll help curb some of the like impatientness that we tend to all have as humans.
Yeah.
Little bit of a tangent.
Look, I like that tangent. Got some really good comments here. Fluff, another example of using YouTube to generate interest in his own bit. Oh, I should click on it. Whatchamacallit, to show interest in his stuff, pursuits, but Fluff is in a league of his own with how he networks and plants himself. Worth learning from. An example of just like a good, solid dude who is interested in the things that he talks about, like legitimately interested in the stuff that he talks about, and legitimately interested in conveying that in a valuable way to other people. Like he's got the interest of the audience at heart. And yeah, he's a good dude. Whatchamacallit, Dylan, you're killing on this topic. Cosman, Liquid Death sponsorship yet? Not yet. So we're going to move on to the next one here, which is, it's not fair. And I want to bring this one up because I think this is sort of the source of why people tend to look at shortcuts or, try to go the cheap road.
Yeah.
And, the reality is people who are doing better in a space, like people who are doing better music sales or music views, legitimately doing better music sales, music views, legitimately doing better YouTube views, etc. There's a million reasons why that might be happening. They might just be better at better at writing the music. They might be faster at everything, like productive. They might be more connected to a lot of the right things because they put a bunch of time in. They have a whole bunch of relationships that they've built up over 10 years or 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
They might just be lucky. There's a whole bunch of things that are going on. Very rarely with people who are doing really well, is it just some kind of golden hack. And even people who kind of pay to be at the top, I know most people are not going to ever remember this artist, but there was this artist that I remember that always comes to mind called Jimmy Ray, Wray, whatever. And he had one single, and the labels just kind of signed him and tried to kind of make him popular. And it didn't work. It didn't work at all. And nobody I know even knows who the heck Jimmy Ray is. And there was a lot of that in the early days of the or earlier days of the record business. I think it still happens now a lot. Labels or businesses, independent ventures will just throw money at a project, hope it goes. And if 1 in 5 go, then good,
Right.
But a lot of them it's not for real. It's just all show. It's all a big advertisement. But so going back to this, I'm going to pose this to you here. There are, people who are doing well. And we look at it and we're like, oh, what's their shortcut? What's their hack? What did they do? And maybe I should do that. And so my thought on it is, don't worry about what other people are doing. Just write a lot. Like if your thing is music, write a lot of music and release a lot of music and be relentless with it. And also don't be afraid to share it. So write a ton, share a ton, rinse and repeat. Be as creative as possible. Try and develop your craft. And if you can do that, something should work. You should connect with someone. So, and I'm curious, like, what is your thought on that matter? Do you look at other people? Sorry. Do you look at other people that way? And do you have to manage it? And what is your method, or what is your thought?
Yeah, I've looked at, especially if we just take, let's take this YouTube guitar player thing, just that kind of niche area. There are guys, and this is going to sound real brown nosy, that I kind of came across their channels and really studied it and loved what they were doing. And I'm lucky. So you are one of those examples. Like when I came across your channel, when we first started talking, the aesthetics, your music, your presentation, like I knew that the effort you were putting in was the reason why you were where you were, in relation to me, So I'm kind of lucky because I never looked at people like, how am I going to get into this and think like, well, I can do that. I can write a song, like, so I should have X amount of subscribers in no time, having followed Ola for so long, and I know I bring up Ola all the time, but bite me. I remember when Ola didn't even talk in his videos, So I saw that slow growth and the effort and the work and the putting himself out there and failing and trying things. And I never looked at it as like a jealousy thing. I looked at it as a way to up my game. And I don't know that everybody has that mentality. I'm not saying I'm some sort of like different thinker, but I never got caught up in, I never got caught up. Oh, I'll turn up a little bit. Sorry. I never got caught up in being jealous or thinking that people got a certain way because of who they were or some secret sauce. I just assumed they deserved to be there and looked at what I could adopt or learn from them and apply it to my own growth. That's just how I looked at it. And I think maybe it had something to do with being like in my mid 30s before I really started putting plosives, proper effort into YouTube. You know, I
Right.
failed at a lot of things in life and succeeded at some things in life, and realized that the things that I worked the hardest at and put the most effort in are those things that I was felt good about in my life. So if I just put in the work and look to improve, it'll get somewhere. So I
And what do you call that? What do we call it?
putting in those reps, yeah.
Those reps.
You just got to do like
The Nick Hill reps.
I don't know if this is on topic with what we're talking about per se, but I was listening to a podcast with Louis Anderson the other day. He was talking about, you know, he loves talking with new comics and getting to know them and helping mentor them. And he said, like, you know, guys who like are starting to feel like, oh, I'm just not any good at this, or I'm sucking, or I'm dying out there. It's like, do 100 shows before you make a decision.
Yeah.
Get up there and do it 100 times, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I've never fell into that guy's, I mean, there are plenty of guys I follow who are, I think like, ugh, this video is like, come on, bro. But also, I don't look at it as like he's taking away from me, you know?
Right.
And I'm wondering if it goes deeper like that, where it's like, if you see somebody with way more subs and more views on a particular video, like, they're not taking away views from you, you know?
No.
And I think people do think that way. You know, I'm
Right.
not trying to like point fingers or say, you know, poo-poo anybody, but I think that goes into part of like trying to do the shortcuts and, you know, the jealousy thing, or whatever topic where I forget you had a, it's not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think that pushes people in that direction. The thought process that like, oh man, this guy put out a video and,
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
like, no, if you got a personality people like or can relate to, and it's a good video and it's informative, or you're funny, like, people will watch you.
Yeah.
Those same people will probably watch the same. If it's anything like me, like a nerd, if I'm looking up a stupid microphone, I will watch more than one person do a video on it.
Yeah.
Just chill. There's room for everybody. And if you
Yeah.
think of it that way and learn from those ahead of you,
Yeah.
you might be happier too.
Yeah.
Trying it, being at the bottom at first, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Came from the bottom.
Long-winded, sorry.
No, it's a good one. That was a really good one. Yeah, the whole it's not fair kind of thing. I think, you know, everybody maybe feels a little bit of that at some point. I think you got to kind of feel it a little bit in order to know what it is and take a look at it, unpack it. So, but yeah, whatever anybody else is doing, in terms of the nature of what they're doing and the success surrounding it, good for them. Let them do their thing. Like, I don't really watch, besides like friends that I've made through doing all this mostly, but other friends who have YouTube channels. Besides those YouTube channels, when it comes to music, I don't really watch YouTube videos. And part of the reason is like, I don't really want it to influence me. And I just kind of want to keep those blinders on and whatever. With my friends, I like to champion my friends.
Right.
And so that part is really important to me. And I'll watch those videos all day and I'll comment on them all day, and I'll push that algorithm for all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally I don't watch and just,
what?
Having connection issues. Oh,
well,
seemed like my connection dropped there for a moment. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I don't know why my thing is so low quality. Anyway, do we want to hit a few comments here?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Did you freeze?
Our connection is really bad.
I think you're all right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
um, and here we go. So Cosman says, someone told me once that is that if you want to make it in music, plan on taking 5 years if you put in the reps. Wonder if that's true or still true. Yeah, I would take and double it.
Yeah. I was just going to
Say
say
that
that.
it will take 5 years or 10 years or anything like that. But just long game. How long are
Yeah.
you actually in?
Right. Exactly. And I think that's hard to wrap your head around, like the slow grow. You would just plan on the slow grow, and then if something else happens, great, cool, bonus.
Yeah.
But um, I also think that had something to do with me putting full effort into this, like into my 30s, was a little bit more of a kind of a grounded outlook. you know, like I still have a full time job. I
Yep.
basically kind of like I tell this to you all the time. Like I basically have two full time jobs, really two and a half. With my
Yeah.
full time work that I'm really passionate about and I love to do, and then I have all of this, and this is a full time job. What we do,
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, and then I have my family. So it's
Yeah.
just you have to just I don't know set your mind up to like nothing's going to happen quickly because as soon as you start thinking that way, then you get impatient. You're setting yourself up for some level of failure.
Yeah.
My
I think
opinion.
so. Gene Hartwig has a great comment here. He's ready to release another single. What is the best promotion in your opinion? And what's interesting about that is for me, as I would say, don't really worry about it. Release more. So number one, release as much music as you can on as much of a schedule as possible, and just do all the basic things like make sure that it's always shared, make sure that you're connecting with other artists or other people. So if you're interested in other artists like you, connect with them,
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed there are a lot of artists that are only one way. They only want to push things out and they don't really want to connect with people. And I understand a lot of people who are drawn to the arts are have difficulty with social and all of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But try and find your people and try and connect with them and keep on that schedule and everything kind of working together, and just go long game. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't worry about how well the last tune does, because once you get 50 tunes or 100 tunes, someone is going to be paying attention.
Yeah.
And they're going to go back through the whole catalog, usually.
I mean, this could be an episode too. There is a strategy to what you can do yourself to promote your own music, because at the end of the day, that is your best promotional tool, is you. You should have a plan on where you're going to, send it, like on what you're going to do building up to releasing the track. Bunn and I have strategies for our own music. We tie our music into our YouTube videos. Not everybody has a YouTube channel, but something to consider, because what's the number two thing that everybody goes to on the internet? It's YouTube. So, like,
Video in
develop a
general.
plan. Yeah, develop a plan.
Yeah.
Bandcamp. There's all these tools.
And there's the new stuff, eh?
There's new stuff. Yeah, I mean,
like the new stuff being like TikTok and Instagram.
exactly.
Do you use that? Do you use TikTok?
No, I can't bring myself to do it. My music is on TikTok, so people can use my music in their TikToks.
Yeah.
But that's because of DistroKid,
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to kind of come up with a not a cheat sheet, because we're talking about not taking cheats, but a checklist a
Checklist.
plan of like a plan of attack for the release of your single or your music, you know?
Yeah.
Because there
And
are
just the
steps that
bare
you can
minimum.
take. Yeah, this is, and that's what I'm talking about. Like we could definitely each be doing more,
Yeah.
but because of tying it into YouTube, like it's just a considerable amount of work as it stands right now. So
Yeah.
develop a plan. You be your biggest cheerleader, um, and start from there.
And
But
connect with people.
connect with people. Yep.
For real. Like be
Mm-hmm.
interested in other people. And Gene, you do that. So
It's a good start.
yeah. Totally. Do we want to move to the next thing here? This is going to be the last.
Yeah, let's hit the last point, then we can go back through.
And then we can do the comments. We can wrap up and just hang out in the comments. So the last one is the long game benefits. We've kind of covered some of these already. The interesting thing about just being focused on long game, it's like I'm in this for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I think you shouldn't even worry about the years. It's just like I'm in this. Don't care about the time.
Yeah.
But the benefit of it is not, if you're not trying to get fast results and climb the ladder prematurely, you're afforded a few things. You're afforded the ability to really develop your craft. You're afforded the ability to change very quickly. We've talked about this before, the pivot.
Mm-hmm.
You can pivot very quickly. Something's not working, or you want to change like maybe your art direction or whatever. You can do that really easily in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and take a while, take a year, take 2 years, take 3 years. Like for me and all of this stuff, nothing happened really for about 3 years, but I'm glad that it didn't, because I didn't even know what I was doing.
Right.
And it took about 3 years to just get a sense of what was going on, to get a sense of being comfortable. I'm still not a very comfortable guy, but
yeah, we have talked about this very thing. Like if
yeah.
you go back and look at each of our channels, and I don't know if you've ever removed any old videos, but I've left every video that I've ever made up.
Yeah. My
and
first 2 I've took down, or they're just private.
got it. But I leave them up because it's like a reminder of my own growth, and I like to be able to point people who are like, I'm not, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, neither did I.
Yeah.
I got the proof.
I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing. I know
Agreed.
how to do a bunch of things, but I don't know what I'm doing. I think there's a big difference there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like this, you're just floating there, or it's like, it's kind of akin to like laying back and floating in the water. Like you don't know how you're doing it, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
But
you know how to float in the water.
But you know how to, yeah.
You're like, I know what to do.
It's an instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once
I know
you
what to do.
learn it. Yeah. Maybe that's a bad example, but
no, it's a good example.
But yeah, because I mean, technically, I know what I should be doing at all times, and I think as each day goes by, each video, each live stream, things will look better, things will sound better without the errant technical difficulty here and there. But we still, and I say we because Bunn and I talk every week, if not every day of every week. It's a rare week if we skip a day, not even if it's just for a few minutes. We talk about what's going on. But so I say we because we're kind of on this trip together. Like we're still trying to figure it out. We always have like strategy discussions, and
yeah, like it's a good idea to know what you're shooting for. If you don't have a target, I think we talked about this maybe in the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Picking a target is really important.
Having the end in mind, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I have? My camera's in the way of my notes. It's okay. But yeah, the long game, there's huge benefits to the long game. And when you arrive at something that is maybe a success of sorts, you're way more ready for it and ready to do something with that success.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems. So I'm a huge fan of the whole long game thing, just for my mental health and for other people's mental health, in terms of them doing it. Burning yourself out, like rushing to the finish line, just trying to get like, just for the purpose of a win rather than for the purpose of doing your best. Like, what would you rather do? Write the best music you could write and be stoked about it, or just eke a tune out and hope and try and get some views or try and get some listens? Like, what do you
Yeah,
want?
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I've kind of taken, like I said, I was lucky to not fall into the like I need instant results.
Yeah.
So I really have dove headfirst into the idea of the slow grow, the slow build, building genuine fans, and we're not comfortable with that term, but building genuine fans
Yeah.
instead of getting a bunch of casuals quickly,
Yeah.
because I'm sure that a lot of you guys who show up to all of these, Randy, what's up? A lot of people who show up to these streams now are more likely than not somebody that's been following me or Bunn for a significant amount of time. Not necessarily, but you know, we have those people who have been following us for a long time, and those are the people we build relationships with and make it more, I don't know, enjoyable. Make it
Yeah.
more worthwhile.
Yeah. And
So,
you tend to develop some pretty meaningful relationships, like some good friendships out of
mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm,
So,
yeah.
um, what was it here? Patrick says, how many songs do you write a month?
Hmm.
And the answer for me is I try to write one a month. And that's very difficult for me personally because, I have a high criteria for myself. My ability is not super high, you know, like technically, my
Mm-hmm.
technical ability is not super high. So once a month is a struggle for me, but that's what I shoot for.
Yeah. How many songs do I start? Because that's a different question. You know what? I think something that has kind of happened through live streaming and building a relationship with a lot of you guys who show up to the live streams. And Saturday almost is a default day that I can work on music for at least the time I'm live streaming, because you guys kind of see these songs take shape when we're working on music. So I've ended up finishing far more music in the last 6 months to a year than I ever did prior. I mean, it's just a fact. So I bet I'm capable of finishing a song a month, at the
Yeah.
rate I'm playing. I'm playing more. I'm coming up with more stuff. I'm diving into different genres that like inspires me to write more and play more. So, you know, I mean, ask me tomorrow. I'll probably just tell you how terrible of a guitar player I am and I can't do anything right. And then all my songs suck. But right now I'm feeling this way. You know how it is.
Oh, I know it well.
Yeah.
Um, Tyler brings up a great comment here. Be able to, this is actually a really good one.
Yeah.
Be able to people's songs and play in as many bands as possible while you're still in your 20s, while you're young, and keep contact. So, yeah, the benefit of this, I know a lot of people who went this road. I went straight into my own band and touring and all that, but it was also a different time.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of people who did this, and the amount, the amount of contacts, the amount of relationships that these people, and everybody, is everybody who's going to keep going with music and elevate up through the ranks. The people who stick around, they tend to stay in contact in some ways. And a lot of that becomes door openers. Everybody's opening everybody else's doors through
Yeah.
having those early roots together and all kind of coming up So yeah, showing up as early as you can and sticking around, depending on what you want to do. Like if you're, depends on your musical road, but um, you didn't, did you get into the shows thing very much when you were younger, Nick? Because you were married young and you had children
Yeah, I
young,
had kids really early,
or maybe not.
but I had
Yeah.
kids when I was 20, and but I was in a band and we played shows, and um, I didn't make a ton of contacts, at least as many as I should have. Um, but also I
Right.
was not, I was in a different situation. Being a dad with kids in a band,
Yeah.
like it sort of separates you a little bit because like you got
Yeah.
priorities. I mean, to me, the band was a priority
Yeah.
and playing was a priority, but for the other guys, that wasn't necessarily the case. So there's a little bit of separation there.
Right.
But it is important. I mean, I think this is super important. Costman kind of says something that also, Synth Chris, you have a good comment too. I'll get to it. But Costman has this
Yeah.
comment here, being someone that others want to work with. And that ties into kind of what the last comment was saying. Like, don't be an a hole.
Yeah.
Be somebody that people enjoy working with, or even just being around. Even if you're not the most talented, if you're somebody that people like to be around, that'll land you in more situations than being overwhelmingly talented. Whether or not that's fair or not, who cares? You know, be a positive dude, like
Yeah.
Cosman is saying. Be positive, be engaging. Don't be an a hole. Put in the effort. You know,
Yeah.
and that'll get you farther than being able to do sweet picks all day. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's see. Synth Chris asks, how do you write as much as you can without getting caught up in prioritizing quantity over quality? I often have this issue. Hmm.
Right.
Bunn, what do you think?
I think the the qualification of quantity or the definition of quantity is up to you. So if to you 12 songs in a year is a lot of songs, then that's a lot of songs. But picking a number that you feel comfortable that you can shoot for that number and still do the work to the level that you are good, comfortable with. But also making it a priority so that it's on a schedule and you can kind of like put yourself to it, and you have these, this is my release date every month. And I know that if I push myself, I can make it happen. And I may release tunes that are not 100%, but at least within that time frame, I'm getting most of the way there. And some
Yeah.
you'll knock out of the park, and some you won't.
Yeah, I mean, I got in my own way for years before I released that EP of songs, and ever since then I was like, I'm just gonna put out music. I just it make just you have to just put stuff out. You'll get better as you go along. Um, and also quality is so subjective. You know, you could be putting
Yeah.
so much time into something that you don't think sounds good enough, but if you let somebody else hear it, they'll be like, "Dude, this is great." Like if you
Yeah.
don't put that out, nobody gets to feel that way. You know, and
Yeah.
I know it's hard to get over that. Like, well, I can do better. Uh, the one of the last there's one of the last tracks I put out. Like, I listened to it and I'm like, I could have done better, but I put it out, and I've gotten a
Yeah.
lot of positive feedback on that track. But for sure, nobody's gonna enjoy it if you don't put it out. And
Yeah.
you can continue to just make sure what you only put out the highest quality stuff that you could possibly do, but you might not end up putting anything out or enough to build anything.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It becomes tough.
I like this comment by Patrick. I try to record versions of my favorite songs in order to learn writing. Absolutely, something I've done myself. Cover songs. recording songs. I have a cover of Orion that I recorded just because I liked all the layers and the pieces. No one's ever heard it, but it's good. It's a good. There's numerous positives to learning other people's music.
Yeah.
What else?
I think the biggest thing there is developing feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a delay on all my stuff is delayed.
Is there?
Seems like, yeah.
Well,
yeah. Even when I click on a comment, crazy. But Chris, I record any idea of mine that I find interesting, and every once in a while I find one that really speaks to me. And yeah, if you can record absolutely every single weird idea that you have, a lot of times there are going to be ideas that you're just like, oh, this dumb thing, and they end up being like the crusher idea. And if you don't record it, you'll never be able to explore it.
Yeah, I kind of take this approach too. Hence the joke I made about how many songs do I start in a month. I have terabytes of songs that I've started. And every once in a while, I'll come up with something that might fit with some older stuff. And I will, if I'm feeling, a little bit down or not inspired, I will go back and go through projects that I've never finished. I'll look for, did I bounce anything from this one? And I'll see what it sounds like. Or if I didn't, I'll go into it and see there's just a riff idea that might inspire a new riff today. So, not a bad idea to do that, in my opinion. I remember people used to say, like, well, if you can't remember the riff the next day, then it wasn't good enough. Like, are you kidding? Do you know how many good riffs I forgot thinking that way? That's dumb.
Yeah.
But, yeah. What else we got? You guys are killing it today.
Yeah. Ian Joie?
Joie?
Is it? I can't see the name very well. Ian, we've talked to Ian before. I'm kind of stuck in the idea of releasing albums and finishing multiple songs at once because I come up with concepts that he likes and whatnot. But I feel like doing one song at a time might be a better solution for me. So this is where I've landed in recent years. The last couple of years, I'm like, yeah, just, get a song done. You can wrap it up into an album later. And if you want to call them demos or singles, the single of your upcoming release, you can totally do that.
Agreed.
Gori, I think is how you say his name. Ian Gori. Or Gory. Maybe you don't roll the R at all. But yeah, Nick, you're doing the same thing with singles. Just get them out there.
Yeah. And I think that because I always was under the impression that, like, you should put out an album or some chunk of songs. It's like, well, I don't know. There's a few reasons why that you might want to try the single approach. It's because the market today, we are in the business of trying to get heard. Even if we're artists, we're writing music for ourselves, we still want people to hear our music. And let's face it, attention spans for a segment of the population are short. So you want to keep trickling songs out, I think that's a good thing. For yourself.
Yeah, I think so.
For the people who listen to you. And the other thing is, like you said, and it's something that I've already been thinking about, you get X amount of singles out. What fun way can you package those up into an album? It's another thing for your fans. So you got to kind of look at it this way, and there's different strategies. I just feel like a giant chunk of time with no music would feel bad to me. Now, I like releasing singles. That's not to say I don't want to write a piece of music that, has multiple tracks that all kind of tie into one another in that album format. But,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen right now. It's not happening right now. So I'm going to at least put out music. And as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, I have 3 songs written in the same style that are going to be the same project that now I have 3 songs for something, you know?
Amazing.
So now I'll have a little micro or whatever that I can put out when
Yeah.
it's all wrapped and good. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think the micro, like the EPs, the 2 song, 3 song, 1 song, whatever, smaller bite-sized chunks are great while you're building you know an audience, like connecting with people, all that kind of stuff. If you don't have a huge base of connections, and you drop a record, and I see this all the time. I have tons of friends who are like, they're like, I need to do a record. And it's like, when you get the stats on those records, the first song on that record gets, maybe 100 half plays a month,
Mm.
and the rest of the tunes on the record never get heard.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens to so many people who drop these records.
Have a good night, Mike.
So good night, Mike. So yeah, dropping a full length can be problematic that way, if you don't have an audience.
Yeah, for sure. And there's bands that are kind of, doing a hybrid of this. A good example is the band Spirit Box. They released an album a couple years ago, and since then they've been dropping singles, to tide over their creative flow and to keep their fans happy. And
Yeah.
like these singles they're killer. I'm a huge fan of them because of their style and what they're doing. And a lot of bands are doing it. A lot of bands are doing it.
Yeah. Tyler Adams is on the singles train, and he's doing live albums. Live albums are actually maybe a really great complement if you're capable of recording them. Like if you're like, I need to satisfy my urge to do albums, well, do singles, and then there's a much lower level of loss in doing a live album, because you're just recording your live set when you're playing your show.
Yeah.
And then you share the show. So it has double potential there. It's like, okay, here's like a whole album. It's a live album. But also it's a live album.
Yeah, there's something very intriguing about that. This idea, like if I wrote a different style of music, something a little bit more like acoustic, I would do this all the time, dropping singles and then putting them together in some sort of live format, be it streamed or whatever, and packaging it up, because I think this is a great idea. This is a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good idea, Tyler. What do we got here? Boom, boom. Cosman says, chapters. If only I could do it like Netflix episodes, leave the listener hanging so they have to listen to the next episode. Well, you could do that. Actually, that's not a terrible idea. Kind of you still have to connect with people for work, but if you're same thing, if you're only doing it in chapters or in singles, people it's easier for people to keep piling on. It's like, oh, this guy releases a new track every week. If you can write a new song a week, that's like, I would never be able to do that.
Yeah, see, and Self-Inflatable is the kind of person why you would want to take your EPs and then package it up into a longer format for people like him, because he says he can't stand single song releases. Generally never go back to them after initial listen. It's not the way I like to experience releases. So everybody's different, he likes to hear things in chunks, and that's cool and that's fine. And I know that too, because I am also that way, ironically enough, which is why at some point these singles that were Nick Hill are going to be a thing, and then people
Yeah.
can there you go.
Put them into a record at the end.
Yeah. Dylan makes
I
a good
like it.
point here, of course. King of good points. I've been telling people that video content is king, which you're right. I tell that to people too, especially in the line of work I'm in. If you do album/EPs, make a video or series of videos for each track and release over time. Yep. It's just another,
Yeah.
excuse me, another means to get ears on your music. And that,
Yeah.
I think, is what we're after, right? Most of us.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Whatchamacallit, Tim Wheeler. Oh, so Tim Wheeler is just, he's doing it. He's just showing us, yeah, Tim is here. He's doing it. Yeah, Tim, do it. Get it out there. Make it happen.
Yeah.
I think it's the thing to do. Instead of sitting around, what can I shortcut? How can I hack it? What can I, what way can I kind of exit through the side door or get in through the side door?
Right.
It's like, just do it. Just like write music, release it, and make it all work. So, Chris, hello.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, right. My mouse is doing really cool things again.
Oh,
great.
Yes. I
Chris says Black Tongue packaged their 2 EPs into a full release, and he goes back to it all the time. So, yeah, I personally, I don't give a shit about records or singles or whatever. All I want is like crushing tunes, like awesome tunes. And if I get awesome tunes in a single format, it's an awesome tune. If I get it in an album format, it's an awesome tune. Or it's a bunch of awesome tunes, hopefully. But there are a lot of albums with a tune on the whole album that I'm like, there's a Cave-In album that I just bought a single song off of recently. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this album, but I love this song so much. So yeah, however you want to do it, you can do it. But are we going to wind her down here?
Yeah. There was something I wanted to touch upon.
Yep.
Renato's comment: as a DIY musician, single releases seem to have more potential to keep your audience engaged, and you can adjust your strategy while going or growing. Yeah, exactly. You got to take different approaches depending on what stage you're at. So, very good point.
I'm 100% down with that.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think we kind of really, nailed it down there. The whole idea was don't worry about shortcuts. If you feel the pressure to like come up with a hack or like, what can I do to get success today? I think don't worry about it and just try and finish music that you're proud of and get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the long and short of it all.
Yeah, agreed. I would love to put albums out, but
do we want to?
But I'm not there. Yeah.
Have you ever?
Just the EP. That's it.
Right, but you've never done like a 10 song or a 12 song.
Mm-mm. Sounds like a lot of work.
I don't know if I have. Yeah, I've done a ton of 8 songs. I don't know where that. It's not really a full album, but it's enough music.
Is that just based on old, because the record you had to fill 2 sides for it to be full? Like 8 sounds good enough to me.
Yeah, it's like a criteria thing. But I've done a ton of records that were 8 songs or 9 songs. And yeah, I don't know. It was a different time though. There was the internet wasn't what it is now.
You had nothing to distract you.
Yeah. So I think that's we're going to wrap it up here, guys. Oh yeah, here. This is exactly what I want to talk about. Come on, show. Why is it not showing?
There you go. Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
My internet is terrible.
Something's happened today, of course. Barry
Yeah,
asks,
of course.
were we able
When
to
is it
figure
ever
the
smooth?
Discord out? Barry, it depends on your definition of figured out, but I have a link here to a Discord server that Bunn and I have pieced together, and we're gonna need the help and support of a few of you. We did send out an email. I think we were maybe having issues. We haven't gotten a reply from anybody who we emailed. So those of you who mentioned being interested in helping moderate, perhaps you can just let us know in the Discord now, DMing us or whatever. So here is the link to the Discord. I hope I did that correctly. It
looks
safe
good.
Assumption that it might not be correct, but we did put it together. I can. Oh, we got some people. There we go. So it must have worked. We have a rudimentary rules page. Oh, now the bot throws the rules in. I don't understand. So clearly I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
That's so funny. That's so funny. I tried for hours to get this bot to work, and now it must have been because people had to join. So the rules are going to be flying around in there a bunch now, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah.
Barry, welcome to the Discord.
Thank you, Barry. Check the rules out. It's going to be nothing new. Those of you who are in the Baritone Obsessed group are familiar with these rules. It's just common sense stuff. We kind of have it divided up into some pretty decent topics, and it's in its infancy, and you guys are going to help build this. So
it's at the very, very, very beginning.
Yeah.
For real. Like there's nothing there. Yeah. But it's up to all of us to make it something.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing you guys on there. I'll try and me 6 for a bot. Yeah, Jeremy, I was looking up bots for, again, it's flashback. I want to just know how to do it. I want to just know how to do it. I was talking with Bunn before we jumped on, like, we are very technical dudes. We know how to do a lot of things, computer-wise, camera-wise, blah, blah, blah. Dylan, good point. I'll add that tonight. But when we come across something like this, Discord, like we know what it is, I kind of use it, but as a passerby in other people's servers, I don't know what to do. And then I'm like, old man, what do I do? It's funny. You should have seen Bunn and I before this show started.
Yeah.
Oh man, good stuff. Some rules for the voice chat. I don't see what. Yeah. Help.
Internet connection is terrible.
All right, let's wrap
right
it
now. I don't, but
I'll jump on the Discord for a while, and you guys can help me through some of this.
I can't.
Oh, okay. We're gonna end it.
It's great. Great.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry, Bunn's connection blows. And we'll see you guys later.